Okay, guys, for those of you that are already here, I am just going to post the link to this to everybody. $8.10 right here. All right. Yet. Hey, for those of you that are already on, which is how many? Well, I'll get there. Hold on a second. All right, looks like we got 8 people. Hey there. All right, so yeah, Abby, I saw your message on Canvas. Who was that actually? Was that? Anyway, there were a few. Tanner, Jean-Lynn. Yeah, so actually not a message from Abby, but let me see. Okay. Alrighty, everybody. We'll give it just a couple minutes to let everybody kind of join in. We got 13, 14 now. So here's the deal, my friends. So welcome. This is how we're going to do this thing. And the way we're sort of stuck is with just chat as the mechanism, you know. So, and I see most of you have jumped in. All right, thank you, Abby. The email is through. Yeah, and Tanner, I did send those out. You'd asked, you know, just kind of said, you know, send out a link to everyone. The challenge is just, I was just a little bit late with it. The challenge is that the link sort of isn't known until I go live, and if I knew if there was like a static link, then that would, you know, I could just, everyone would know to go to there. So there's really, what I'll do every time is I'll shoot a link via Canvas. I'll shoot a link out on the Discord. We have the testing lobby now running on Discord. And as you can see right here, Actually, yeah, that's Discord. Yeah. Um, anyway, you can kind of see there's the link of the live thing, and this is the testing lobby. So, and there's a bunch of, I can't see, what have I got? 13, 25 people in the testing lobby. So I'll post a link there. I'll send a link via Canvas, but I've got to kind of do it just in the few minutes before class is kind of the bottom line on that one, unfortunately. The other way around that is just get yourself over. So let me pull that back. The other approach is you can do something like this. If I get this over here and just and over here, if you just go to the Dr. K channel, and right there is the live, so you can do that any of those ways. Okay. If you want to just always just kind of go to my channel, then it'll be kind of there live. So any of those mechanisms. Okay. What else to say? So that's all for that. And all right, I'm just gonna try to fit everything on the page here. I really need an extra monitor. Maybe I can. So we got 22 folks right now online. All right. Man. So, okay. So, this is actually, I've done the other two classes using this mechanism so far. It's working pretty well. The gotcha, so I can basically just show you, whatever from over here. We can throw up the slides, jump into the material. Easy to, in fact, let me just pop up another. Let me see. Yeah, I just want to pull up a. There we go. Yeah, anyway, yeah, let's continue as me, how about? And where are we? 2810. And class schedule right here. Alrighty. So, just to kind of, I don't know if that's how visible that is to you guys through the feeds. Probably not too bad. So I wanted to just get a sense for where the heck we were, and then once we got everybody here, I just wanted to kind of touch base on how we're going to roll. But so that was spring break, and I think well, okay, yeah. So first of all, did we finish module 7? It's been so freaking long. And anyway, if you guys don't mind, chiming in with kind of where we were. Let's see. Seems like we were in module 7. And kind of getting ready to pivot from the programming stuff to assembly language. I just don't remember. So we'll kind of figure that out. Basically, so kind of a couple of maybe kind of housekeeping things. Then I just want to talk a little bit about the current crisis. But so this thing's working fairly well from a delivery mechanism. The problem is I don't have the feedback. I don't have the back and forth. So the only thing I've got for the feedback is chat. So if you don't mind If you don't mind just kicking your comments my way, that's, you know what I mean? Just whatever, just a little bit of liveness, and it makes me feel like I'm not alone. Okay, Tanner thinks we finished 6. It feels like it to me that we finished chapter 6. We'll pull it up, and we'll look. But anyway, if you guys can, just give me a little give and take while we're going. Ordinarily, that would be like talking in class, but here it takes the place of facial expressions, body language, which allows me to kind of perceive whether I'm, connecting or, or missing. So, or if you're along or, tracking or whatever. So that's kind of what we're doing there. The testing lobby. So we now have a Discord server that I think that Devin sent a link out to everybody. Let me see. There are 25 members of the testing lobby. I don't know how many. Does everybody have that? I'm just going to look real quick to see if I can. I just want a head count. I just want to pull up a head count. We got 25 people in the testing lobby. There are 2 or 3. Yeah, there are 43 students. Okay, what I'm going to do is, and like I said, I'm pretty sure Devin sent maybe an invite. I'm not sure to the Canvas mailing thing, but I'm just going to grab the invite and just post it here. Okay, where are we? Where are we? I got too many tabs. That's my problem. Okay. All right. So, all right. So that's the invite to the Discord, server for 2810. And let me see. Okay, Vlad thinks we started module 7. I'm going to roll with that. I always believe everything Vlad says. That's one of my life philosophies. Oh, and okay, Ryan, yes, when this thing is done, when we're done with this live broadcast, there will be a copy of the video online automatically. And also all the comments will also be automatically saved. Okay. So, yeah, Zach, so the YouTube live does save the streams. And, alrighty, so Chase is saying slide 45 of chapter 6. I'll take a peek. And then, all right, and so Josh, so that Discord thing, you said the thing was expired. And so we should be golden. So, okay. Welcome, Gunnar. Glad you made it. All right, so here's what we're doing. We're going to jump on this. Okay, so Devin and Talmadge and I have been working on the testing lobby stuff. What we had to do in order to do the thing remotely is basically convert all of the module exams into Canvas quizzes, which we've done. The likelihood that there's some stupid mistake is high. Okay. So, and the way that we're going to do it, we're trying to still play around with what the right options are for how to best do that. We'd like to be able to do something like Proctorio, so we can create just a non, an environment where, you're not just whatever, pulling up homework and things like that. So I'd like to just, number one, you recognize that you can retake any exam as many times as you want. So I just hope that that discourages any, compromising here down the stretch. There is some discussion about UVU going to a pass-fail for the semester. I don't have a confirmation on that yet, but I know there's discussion, and I've heard the same kind of discussion going on at BYU, the U, Utah State. And the one thing I heard was that there was actually a little pressure then on UVU to, get on board, with that approach. So I'm personally a fan of it if we can pull that off for a bunch of reasons. It just takes a certain amount of pressure off, when you're dealing with a pass-fail situation. But I will keep you posted when I know for sure. Also, just what you want to do is jump on we will be on Discord during normal testing lobby hours, okay? And Zach, the pass-fail, I don't know exactly what it means. Usually it means you pick some point total, 70, 75, something that's sort of a grade, a good enough performance that you could count it if it were a letter grade, right? And Brendan's correct that it shows as a pass. It does not affect, there's no letter grades, and it doesn't affect your GPA either way. Then the idea would be we pick a point total, and I think for me, it's probably like 75% or something like that you've got to get above that, right? Which means it would be like, you can't get like a D and get the pass, where you've got to get like a C. I'm not even sure if a C minus, depends on the class, but whatever the grade is that you sort of have to have in order to, get the credit in the program, and move on in the program, that's the point total that would constitute a pass. So, but it does take a certain amount of pressure off, Anyway, I don't know also if that's going to be like offered or an option or just, everybody's going to that. So you sort of have to. I really don't know yet. It's also, everything's changing in real time. And so I just don't know. I do know that this probably won't affect anybody currently tracking right now. No, Zach, it cannot improve the GPA. So if you're looking to try to get an A to bump the GPA or whatever, then it wouldn't help you. Or if it was a retake, I don't even know how that works with a retake covering a prior grade. I don't know. So there's a lot of unanswered questions. And a lot of the administrative stuff, it's not my forte, so apologize for that. The other thing, though, is, again, for those of you that this impacts, the withdrawal date, the drop date, has been shifted basically to like the end of the semester. So you can do the late drop. And Chase, I'm going to talk about the tests in a second. But so the drop date is now April 24th. I think it was April 3rd, and that's the last date that you can drop and get a W. And again, whenever you're dealing with like what happens to tuition, registration, student visas, any of that kind of stuff, I really don't know. And I certainly don't want to make it up, and give bad information, But so there'll be some, administrative policies that you want to track, at UVU. So, so when it's time to do the tests, so Chase asked the question, do we just, DM Talmadge or Devin directly? And the answer is yes, or me. Basically, you go to Discord, and on the Discord, you go to the testing lobby on Discord. And then you can do it a couple ways. I mean, you can jump on a direct message with us, or you can even just, in the main general thread for the testing lobby, you can, or the students chat, either way, Let me see, there's a students chat channel. Let me just throw this back on here again for you. But, there's a general students chat and testing, what is this? Tutoring questions help. So we got some of those channels, but basically you can just say, hey, Dr. K, Chuck, or Devin, Talmadge, can you, I'm ready to take module, whatever, can you open it up for me? Or you can DM us, directly just by jumping on and talking to us. So, and then we'll open it up. And honestly, I don't know right now whether we're running on Proctorio or not. We were trying to experiment with it, and I understand that Proctorio just has certain problems, and I'm trying to minimize the number of variables we're throwing at you while we're, rolling everything over. Brendan, yeah, there's supposed to be some kind of an announcement that's about grading policies, and I'm in the same boat in that respect as you are. I know it's been discussed, and I saw something pass by for faculty senate, but I don't have anything definitive on that. So anyway, strange times, my friends, very strange times. So Abby, yeah, we would try to keep the testing lobby hours comparable, and try to do the same kind of hours. Now, the other advantage that we do have, though, is we do have greater flexibility. And the way we're looking at this is, because we don't have to physically be there, as long as we've got Discord on, which me and Talmadge and Devin will mostly always have. If if you're ready to take an exam, you've done the homework, submitted it, then, as far as I'm ready to take a certain thing, we can fire that up anytime, and you wouldn't have to be limited to the times that we normally have for testing lobby, to answer Abby's question. So we do have a great deal more flexibility. To Jean-Lynn's question, no, the quizzes are not multiple choice. And Sam, yeah, the tests will be Canvas quizzes, but they'll be basically just all... There's like an essay question box. Some of the quizzes you can do it's just this right here is a Canvas box, and you can it'll be like type whatever, and you'll just be typing stuff, and then whenever it's got something that you need to draw a picture or that kind of thing, we can either have you make a picture, upload the picture. I'm not exactly sure what the best way is to do that one. Even a follow-up, via Discord or via email or something like that, can actually work. So, yeah. I think I've hit all the questions so far. That you guys have asked. Now, some of these things like, drop dates and things like that aren't going to help those who aren't here, because they're not going to necessarily hear about it. Zach, did I end up punching somebody in the face in the toilet paper aisle last night at the grocery store? No. But only, Cairo, give me some ASCII art. I want to see it. There was nothing in the toilet paper aisle to fight over. It was barren. So no. In fact, I was spared the indignity of having to duke it out. Vlad, is the webcam required? I don't know. I'm not really sure. I know that Proctorio has some of that, like grab whatever does the screen capture or whatever. I don't really know. But if you're in an unusual situation, just let me know, You know what I'm saying? Just talk to me. Again, try to hit me up on Discord is going to be the best way. And we can jump on chat anytime and kind of figure it out. So, all right. So I just wanted to ask you guys just how you're doing. I'm curious if everybody's pretty much still kind of around town. If you guys have headed back home, if you're, from out of town or from out of state. I mean, I know most of you are kind of locals and have yourself established here with work and, work and family and whatever. So Abby, the test's available kind of right away. Just, we'll for sure be staffing during the regular times. And I can also, like I said, I can make sure, like I've got stuff I've got to do during the normal hours today. Today's Thursday. It all blends together, doesn't it? Let me see. Yeah, Brennan, it mostly does want a camera, but I'm gonna again just we'll play it by ear. And if you're stuck, we're just kind of trying to figure it out as we go. Hang on. I need water. Hold on a second. Voila. Okay. All right, I got my water. Yeah, so the truth is I'm not a super fan of using Proctorio. I mean, I would be if all the reports I was getting were about it being really flawless. So I don't know. Okay, yeah. So Zach, you asked, are we going to be able to have the LC3 instruction set open in the PDF or printed out? And the answer is no and no, but we have an even better solution. When you go to when you open the quiz on Canvas, all the material you need, whether it's the ASCII table, the abbreviation, this is Dr. K sign language for abbreviation. For the abbreviation of all the opcodes, you remember that little picture with the little whatever, and then all the okay, Zach, I want to hear about Cultura. But anyway, and then any of the pages that you need, right? All that documentation is actually in the quiz. So literally, it's just like, I don't remember if it's mostly at the bottom. So you'll kind of like scroll past the questions, and then all the documentation is just, that's me. See the scrolling? Do you see it? All the documentation is built in to the quiz. So you've got all the LC3 documentation, the trap codes, ASCII codes, everything you need. Also, one other thing logistically is I think that the YouTube live, this is coming in smooth, I think, on terms of video and audio, but it's delayed to you guys by, I don't have an exact count. I was going to run an experiment actually at some point here. And I think what I'm going to do, I think it's not a few seconds. So what I have over here is, I'm just going to start my timer. I'm going to do so what I have is I have OBS, which is an open source encoder that creates a stream, and then that stream gets fed into YouTube Live, and then YouTube broadcasts it, right? Well, in all of that, there's some delay. So I'm watching my screen and my camera on OBS, which is the most real time to me, but there's a delay to you guys. So what I'm going to do is I have my little stopwatch, and I just want to measure the latency so we understand, what the delays are when I'm saying something and then you respond. So what I'm going to do is something that and then I have the YouTube Live window, which has its own little mini screen, but I can't watch it because it's so delayed, right? But what I'm going to do is just stick something up that I can see really obvious. So I'm going to just go like that, start my timer, and then all I'm doing right now is I'm watching the monitor screen for when I do that same thing with my hand, and just to measure the latency because that I think is coming back to me via YouTube. Boom, 21 seconds. Okay, so we've got a 21 second, 21.23. That's the latency on I'm talking and you're now seeing it. I think that there's not a latency. Anyway, I'm just curious from the perspective of managing. I say something and how long it takes. Literally 20 seconds till you can see it and then respond. I don't know if there's an actual latency. When I'm not sure the best way to test that. Coming your way. So anyway, let me get rid of Discord, and I think we're okay. And if anybody's interested, I can talk to you a little bit about what my setup is here as well, which is working really, really well. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this now. There we go. And I'm getting rid of that. Okay. Should we talk technology? Should we talk some technology? Let's do it. Okay. I'm going to jump over. Oh, no. Before it, I wanted to say a couple of quick things about the crisis. I just wanted to say that, the nice thing about 2810, the way that it's configured and set up, is it's already set up to accommodate your own pace, your own whatever. So it really, other than the pain in the butt of how do we do the quizzes, it's all set up. So I'm happy about that, But it's also the case that when these kinds of crises hit, I just think that it's just sometimes hard to get focused. There's just like so much crap going on, and it feels like, I don't know, just a lot of stuff starts to feel unimportant or whatever, and I just want you to know that I'm in the middle of the same thing. I feel exactly the same thing, like worst spring break ever kind of thing, like maybe good, but productivity, little bit more of a struggle. It all starts to feel a little arbitrary, in light of, life and death situations. So I just wanted you to know that if you've got struggles now, in our case, there's no deadlines anyway, so I don't need to be forgiving. In other classes, I'm being pretty lenient on deadlines and stuff. So we don't really have to deal with that here because it's already accommodating, self-paced. But anyway, if you're struggling and you want to just whatever, just hit me up on Discord. We got, we can jump on video chat. We got voice chat. We got text chat. And really, I just feel like I just want to make sure you guys know that, that I understand and I'm in it as well. And, and I think it's difficult under the best of circumstances. And when you throw, just life's tough already. And then this thing is tough no matter what. And then, for any of you that are just dealing with anxiety issues or depression, kinds of issues or, or other just crap on the home front that's burning your bandwidth, you got a kid in the hospital or whatever it happens to be. Just understand that I'll work with you. As Abby said, there is an end of semester thing. And I think that's where the pass fail becomes a nice advantage. If we can kind of say, get over the mark, but again, I'll work with you. I'm trying to trade that off against the fact that the material itself relative to being in the major and doing this major, there's so much of this material that's really quite valuable and important. And so you really do still need to get the material, that's the struggle. I can't just say, whatever, just we won't cover it. You understand? So, because you do need to know it. You do need to understand what we're talking about, so you can leverage that going forward. Okay, let me see. Alrighty. Yeah, let me pull up. Let's go to the slides. But anyway, just any other comments you've got about the crisis, the nature of the crisis, any of that kind of stuff, I am curious if any of you are like out of town. I'm just, as a sort of a data survey, whatever you want to call it, I'm intrigued to know if any of you have gone out of town, out of state, and like where you're at and what's going on there. I am pulling up the lectures right now. Okay. All right, I just pulled up number 6, just because. We did not get all the way through chapter 6 because we were going to talk about debugging. I think that's true, right? Anybody want to confirm or deny on that? Yeah, Chase. So large project, more intimidating now that we're online. Yes. Now here's the thing, though. Here's the advantage. The big advantage of having the testing lobby on Discord is we can jump online, we can jump on video chat, and we can do a share screen. So we can do things like, if I've got, a piece of paper, draw a picture, share that. If we can do a screen share, if you're like, here's my code, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. We can do that back and forth sort of thing. So in some respects, it's a little harder. And in other respects, it is going to be okay, I think. And I think we went through all this decomposition. I think we did all that. Okay, yeah, we're on debugging now. Okay, but anyway, any of you... Anyway, just kidding. I got no responses to the question. Oh, and I'm intrigued, Zach, about Kaltura. Like, if you wouldn't mind dropping kind of pro cons. I've heard of it, but I have not used it. And what I really wanted to do was something that required almost nothing on your side. Literally, you jump on YouTube and you've got the chat and it's going and you're just on. Follow, click the link, done. Nothing to install, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I got no confirmations from anybody leaving town. Oh, yeah, one other thing about the testing lobby. So I'm going to go this afternoon to campus and retrieve the Bucket of Life, which has all the old exams in it. And so if you're like, how did I do on an older exam that was paper? I'm going to be the one who has those. So you've got to hit me up to talk about like how it went. And the best way is to jump on chat. I can maybe, do some screen share, hold it up or whatever, since it's going to be paper. But it'd be better if we can do like a video chat on Discord is going to be about the cleanest thing, Zach, buggy and crashes all the time. Yeah, I'm having kind of a similar thing that I'm hearing about that. So I also figured that if we went for YouTube, that we had a generally high level of scalability. I wasn't as worried about, the entire university just suddenly crashes something that has not been tested for that kind of scalability before. So, okay, let's do some lecture, shall we? You want to. We've got till we've got about 12:45, 37 minutes. I don't even know where we're at on the overall schedule. We'll see. There's always a little bit of time built in at the very end, so we're going to be okay. Yeah, Brennan, no, that's exactly right, man. My fear was that Canvas Live and Kaltura and whatever, we're going to experience an unprecedented load. I don't think Google even sort of knows the meaning of unprecedented load. I think that's the world that they live in, so. All right. Okay, so yeah, we want to talk about debugging. Let's do this thing. We talked a little bit about this in class, right? This throwing up your hands. By the way, can we get a confirm that we have not been through this debugging stuff? And now I got a 20-second delay. I know, waiting for somebody, but if somebody can give me, if I'm pretty sure we did not. Yeah, I don't think we did. I really don't think we did. So if I'm wrong, somebody please pitch in and throw a comment my way, okay? All right, yeah, so number one, just like we said, saying something like, I don't even know where to start is like a really, it's just dumb, because it's, first of all, it's just a lie, everybody knows, all right, okay, thanks guys. Everybody knows how to start. I mean, literally, if you're like, okay, Chuck, we need you to do an open heart surgery. I don't even know where to start. Sure you do. Yeah, go get a book. Go look something up. You understand it's in the field of medicine, right? Maybe you didn't know there was a thing called cardiology, but you're going to learn now. In other words, you know how to start. What I don't want you to do is just give up. I can't get my program to work. I'm just going to give up. So remember, and we haven't even talked about the orders of ignorance yet, which I'm looking forward to because it's an important idea. But the primary task of debugging is learning. The only reason it doesn't work is because there's something you don't know. And if you knew it, then it would work, wouldn't it? I mean that seriously. There's literally, doesn't matter what, anything, you're ignorant about something. And I mean that in the sense of the orders of ignorance. There's something of which you are ignorant, there's something of which that you don't even know that you don't know. There's something at play. If you knew everything, that your program would work. So one of the things that happens, especially in this class that I've seen a great deal, is people doing things like you haven't looked up in the documentation, what immediate, whatever, indirect addressing or whatever. And you're kind of like guessing at it. I've done this where I'm sitting down with a student and we're just like, and they're like, okay, and then you grab the address and you put it here. And I'm looking at it just going, that's not what that does. Right. And so you have to know that that's what the thing does. You can't be guessing at it. And so until you absolutely know and you're completely confident, the best play is to just look it up every time, double check it every time. So you not only know what the thing is, what it's called, but you know exactly what it's doing, and you've reminded yourself that precisely. You have to know, it has to be precision. You can't be like guessing at it. And because here's the thing, if you don't understand it really truly, then it randomly, you like try something and now it works. Guess what? You don't know. So later on, it's going to just break. Self-healing code is self-breaking code. Okay? Code that magically fixes itself is going to magically break itself later on because you don't know why it worked. It's one thing to not know why it doesn't work, and it's another thing to not know why it works. If you don't know why it works, it is one day going to just stop working, and you won't know, and you still won't know why. Okay. I think you got the idea. And then again, any questions or comments, your spot is in the comments, okay? So understand when it comes to debugging that it's just can be very time consuming, okay? It is entirely reasonable to spend a great deal of time debugging your system, a short amount of time writing it and a long time debugging it. And I want to talk a little bit about that because some of you are going to make a couple of critical, fatal mistakes when it comes to the final project, okay? And what you're going to do is what I'm going to talk about. We already talked about the, self-healing code, right? So this is the key. This is so key. Debugging strategies, you have to know exactly where you know your program is correct and exactly when it stops being correct. Now think about it for a second. If you don't know when your program, If you know the point at which you know my program is correct, it's correct, it's correct, it's correct, it's correct, and you know that at this moment it stops being correct, you know where the bug is. Okay, right? You, it's kind of obvious when you say it, but it's really true. But the problem is what some of you do is what I call the Big Bang approach. And the Big Bang approach is one where it's like you get your piece of paper, you start writing your program on the paper, and then, and it's like when you write this program, the final project, it's going to be about, on average, it's going to be probably 500 or 600 instructions, okay, which is the same as 500 or 600 lines of code. And first of all, just understand that's not a lot of code. That's not a lot of code in any case. And with assembly, it's just tedious. It's not a lot of code, but it is a little tedious. But you're going to be 500, 600 lines or more of code. And by the way, I've got no comments for a while. Would somebody just lob something? I just want to make sure. In a previous stream, the comments actually stopped working. And if somebody wouldn't mind lobbing something my way, I would really appreciate it. Where am I at here? You can also hit me up on Discord, which is also sitting here open. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. Green light. We're still, the intermittent comment is nice to help me know I'm not alone. You know what I mean? Okay. So, what you do is what some of you will do, and it's a bad thing. You're going to sit down, you're going to write your code. Then you're going to sit down at your computer and you're going to type all the lines of code. Right? And then you're going to try to run it. And that, my friends, is the Big Bang approach to testing. Okay? It's Big Bang. It's a little bit like, because you don't know anything about any given line of code. It's a little bit like putting together all the pieces of an airplane, right? You get all the airplane pieces and you haven't tested any of them. You just built each piece and then you bolt them all together and then you just send the airplane off. And about 20 seconds later it goes, poof, right? Now here comes the FAA and they're sifting through rubble, just burned, charred, whatever, right? Of this airplane. And they're trying to figure out, why did the airplane crash, right? The reason that airplanes have black boxes, really they only become an issue when the airplane, after a plane crash, right? They're built to be indestructible. You can retrieve them. They've got recordings from the cockpit. They've got all the data from the instrumentation. It's basically a big log file. And it kind of goes, you got here, you did this was this, this was this. All the instrument readings are being sampled, stored away, so you can recreate what happened. That's all you're trying to do. That's what the black box is. It's for debugging. But you don't have to do that, okay? So what I recommend you do is there's a thing you're trying, let's say, for example, you want to, the person's going to type a name or a word for the instruction, they're going to type AND. Well, okay, you do a little code that you know works. Make sure you can enter a character. Okay, confirm it, it works. Make sure you can store it away if you're storing it, or do, everything you do, you make sure that one thing works the way you wanted it to work, okay? That's the critical skill. And if you just write 20 instructions, stop. Make sure that 20 instructions works, that you know it works, and that you know why it works. Okay? Now the next little functional piece, boom, 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 do that part. Stop. Make sure that works. Okay? Now with the LC3, you've got a really nice environment. That web, the one that we've used, right? That's on GitHub. It's a really nice environment. It doesn't. It doesn't do a ton, but it doesn't need to do a ton. You can set breakpoints to go to a certain spot. And what we should do, when we get to assembly in the next lecture, somebody remind me as well if I forget, but let's pull up the LC3 and we'll walk through some of the ways you can use it for debugging, for walking through. You can step, a line at a time. You can step through the thing. A lot of options available to you, okay? But you've got to know, you have to know that it's right. Now, one of the biggest benefits that I had in my career was I spent a few years in software testing. I really recommend it. I think, first of all, it's fun to just break stuff, and your job is just to be destructive. Yeah, that's great. But I recommend it. But it when you spend enough time with testing, you gain a healthy paranoia. That's what you get from that, a healthy paranoia. And because you recognize how many ways software can be bad. How many, I feel about software, there's a thing that somebody once said about golf. One of my just favorite, Matthew. Yeah, burgers. Can you share with everybody, Matthew, please? It's selfish to bring that food into class. And I can't even do it here, right? I mean, what have I got? Okay. I got these. I can't share them. I shouldn't even eat them. You know what I mean? But that was my breakfast this morning. But no, anyway, somebody once said of golf, which is like my favorite sport probably. The JCW story. Cairo. I never shared the JCW story. We'll get to it. But 5 guys in JCWs both suck. That's all I'm going to say. That's my position. Anyway, where was I? Golf. Anyway, somebody said, every time you take a golf club in your hands and take a swing, you know what I mean? Just you swing a golf club at a ball, that there's like 100 things that can happen, and like 99 of them are bad, and this is the nature of golf. Well, I feel the same way about software development, really. Every time you start typing a line of code, there's a bunch of things that can happen, and most of them are bad. You've got to be really cautious and careful, and you've got to move out of the domain of mystery and guesswork and into the domain of knowledge. You have to know that it is right, okay? You have to know. Oh, Matt, yeah, Burger Supreme is the best. Best burgers and fries in this valley. Burger Supreme. Yep, that's the way to go for burgers. And I will share. So Cairo, I'm gonna share the JCW story. Not now. It's just such a great story. All right, but you get the idea, right? You've got to know. That's the bottom line. Okay. So here's some strategies, things that I recommend you do as you're building this thing. By the way, if you come to me and you're like, I typed my whole program in and now I don't know what's going on. Okay, now what you do is you throw all of it away, or you don't throw it all the way away, but you just take a piece of it, okay? And just if you've written it down, fine, but take a piece of it and integrate, know that it works, okay? Also, just understand that, so I'm getting distracted with the burgers. Burger Supreme has the best fry sauce. They put cocaine in their fry sauce. That's the secret. The secret sauce in the secret sauce. So, debugging strategies. So a couple of things. One is essentially you're going to make some unit tests. What unit tests are, I'm getting the dry voice thing going. But unit tests essentially is an attempt to take a small piece of code, and the notion of, when you hear unit testing, the notion of like what's the unit doesn't matter. Okay. Could it be a method? Sure. Could it be, a small line of code? 2 lines of code? Yes. This is 2 lines of code. Yes. That can be. So unit testing is any small piece of the system that I can verify, that it actually works, because I know what it wants to do and I can verify that it's doing it. So one approach is, since you're in the LC3, that whole environment is a debugging environment, right? You can literally go to the part where where they're supposed to enter the data, and you can put the data in there and that it's correct. Just like literally start filling memory locations with data. You can do that. You can do things like put a value in a register. Like, I want to loop this many times. What if I started here? Just put the value manually, stuff it in the register, then go. You can do things like that. So, and you can do a similar thing in any other kind of debugger, whether it's a high-level language or assembly. The other one you can do is stepping through execution. You can do that in the debugger, and I recommend it in the case of the LC3. Start at the top, and as soon as you do one line, go boink, see what what's supposed to happen, go look at the registers. Step to the next one, look at the registers. Step to the next one, look at the registers. Just so you should know what each line is trying to do. Then if your logic is correct, then you make sure that what each line is doing it correctly. And then you're going to be moving along. Checking values, right. Yep. And I think we've really kind of we've dealt with all of that. Okay, now here's the thing, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm not going to do this because, so Vlad, Supremo is actually used to be an Apollo burger let me see. Okay, I'm dating myself here. 30 years ago was when I started having burgers at Burger Supreme. And it used to be an Apollo burger. It looks like the Apollo burger building, the signs. If you look at it, it looks like Apollo burger. And it was originally Apollo burger. So it is like unto Apollo burger, but it's better. Okay. So here's the deal with this. Okay, I'm looking right now. The problem is I did some debugging stuff here. I have a bunch of these slides, a bunch of work. Nah, I'm going to skip all this. Sorry, I'm just scanning. Because see, the problem is, let me just give you a feel, at least for, okay, I think I know where I want to go with this thing. And time-wise, we got 15 minutes. We're okay. All right, so I just want to show you a couple things, but I don't want to go all the way through it. So this is a program that's kind of supposed to take two positive numbers, right? They're in R4 and R5. That's where they are. And I just stuffed some values in here. That guy is decimal 10. This guy's decimal 3. And we're going to multiply these two values together. We're going to put the result up there in R2. Okay? So how are you going to do that in assembly? Well, you got to basically iterate, right? You got to set one of these up as your counter, right? And then, so like you're either going to take some value, make it 0, and then go 3 times through, each time adding 10. Or you can take 3 set your counter to 0 and add 3 10 times. Doesn't matter, right? But you basically set up a for loop. And so what you can see here on the code is we're using R2 as, that's our running total. That's what that's doing. Okay. And then we're going to set R2 plus R4, right? And then we're going to take R5 and basically use it as a countdown. So we're just going to literally use the value, and it's going to be 3, now it's going to be 2, now it's going to be 1, and now we're going to stop. And then we're going to branch on 0 or positive back up to 3201, right? We're just going to go showing. So that's our code. And then when we're done, we're going to go to halt. Cool? Pretty straightforward, right? We've done stuff like this. So what happens, there we go. Apologies for my, I don't know what the deal is. So anyway, we just run it, and it gets to the bottom, and the value's 40. Now, first of all, I want to just pause for a second, because I know we got a 20-second delay. What happened? Just guesses, without even looking at it. I'm going to go, I can look at my code already. I want you to throw the guesses out at me via chat. What in the heck happened here? Because I already know that I'm going to take a value 0 in register 2, and I'm going to add 10 to it. If you look at, line 3201, right, R2 plus R4, I'm going to add 10. Then I'm going to decrement, register 5. And then I'm going to count down. So what went wrong? I'm going to just wait for a minute for some proposed explanations without even looking at the code. What is your sense? And then the other thing I want to ask you is, there are different kinds of errors when you're dealing with programming. One is, so Tanner says it branched at 0 also, so it added another 10, meaning it went one too far, right? It went one too far. And this is an example, and I think we're going to see that's probably right. The fact that I know that the value was going to go, because I know logically how it works, it's going to go 0, 10, 20, 30, and then I'm supposed to stop, and then I actually get 40. That tells me, right, yeah, Zach, it multiplied by 4 because it looped 4 times instead of 3. So if I told you this is a classic problem in software, okay? Who was the guy? Boris Beiser was a guy who wrote a bunch of books back in the 90s, 80s, 90s on software testing. He said that bugs tend to congregate at the boundaries, okay, the edges. And one of the classics is starting up and shutting down, okay? So if you are, just going to count 10 times, the classic mistake is that you actually only did it 9 when you were supposed to do it 10, or you did it 11 when you were only supposed to do 10, because this exact little logic errors are part of the problem. So there's a number of mistakes, right, that you can make. One is what we think of as syntax errors. You just did a thing that doesn't work. It's not, you broke the syntax of the language. But once your syntax actually works, mostly what you've got is logic problems, okay? As long as you actually are using each instruction the way the instruction is supposed to be used, right? You're not just accidentally dropping some other random instruction in there that you thought was something else. You know what this thing's doing, but you got a logical mistake. And the logical mistake, so the next question is, where are you going to find it? Where's the mistake going to be, right? Where's the logical mistake? And I'm going to wait for a second just to give you guys a chance to address that. And we only had 2 people throw in there. The rest of you are like eating burgers or something, or you just bailed out. I don't know what you're doing. Now, we still got 24 people watching. But that's my question, okay? Question is, where is the mistake? Which line has my mistake in it? And then why do you just know that? Even without looking, I'm talking about without looking at the line, okay? Without looking at the line, which line has the mistake in it? But by not looking at the line, I mean not like deep, not without drilling into the code or the instruction on that line. Where's the problem? If I said it was supposed to go 3 times and it went 4, where do you assume the problem is? I'm waiting for 21 seconds. Subtracted a -1. Subtracted a -1. Okay, interesting. Brendan, Brendan says, probably the branch. Because here's the thing. And Zach's saying, 3203, which is the branch instruction. When I see this sort of a thing, you got to kind of know. You got to kind of know that the branch has some problem, right? Because you were supposed to stop and you didn't. You kept going. The classic mistake looks something like I was supposed to, just think of it as a for loop, right? Just a for loop in Python or something, right? I mean, one of the things, by the way, I told you I've been learning Python, right? And one of the things that actually is a little troubling to me is the for loop in Python is a little, to me, problematic. When I do like a range, and the second number that I give you is like the number that I'm going to kick out on, but not a number I'm going to do the thing on. To me, that's just a little bit, for a language that's intended to be really easy for beginners, it feels a little funky. But I don't know, you got to somewhere or another, there's always going to be something a little dicey. Even in C, you had, a for loop basically gave you, the middle part of a for loop gave you the condition under which you continued, right? So it's a classic that you want to be like less than, but you say less than or equal, or you want to be less than or equal, but you say less than, or, you know what I mean? You're just including one that you shouldn't include, or excluding one that you shouldn't exclude. So whenever you see that kind of a thing, just trying to help you, get a feel, right? And Abby's right. This is absolutely common. So we know we went one too many times, which meant if we do this thing in a debugger, so that's where we're going to go. Okay. Let me start it all over. We're going to start the whole thing over, initialize the values, and I don't even know why the graphics are off. I don't even know why. Why not? I guess. Okay, you notice we put register 2 back to 0, right? Put register 4 back to 10, register 5 back to 3. Set the PC to 3200, and we're gonna just do it, okay? And now what I did was I set a breakpoint. I set a breakpoint down at the branch instruction, and again it's a little up, but you get the idea. There it is. Imagine that that's the branch instruction. So we're going to go and we're going to run it, and then we're at the breakpoint. Okay? So check out R2. Let me back up. We ran it to the breakpoint, and it's now 10, right? And then we branch on, it's R5 that we subtract 1 from R5. So it's now 2. It was 3. It's now 2. And we branch on 0 or positive, right? So that's positive. We go again, and it just runs to the breakpoint again, okay? It goes up and goes back to the breakpoint. So, and we check again, and now register 2 is 20. Register 5 is now 1, because we subtracted 1 again on 3202 when we hit the breakpoint, right? And now we're going to go again. And now register 2 is now 30, and you recognize this as the correct answer. You know you're supposed to stop now, right? And now what happens? If you look at the code, right, we're jumping back up to 3201. That's where we add 10 to R2, which we did. We got 30. We subtracted 1 from R5. Boom, this hand is R5. We subtracted 1. It's now 0, and we know logically that we're supposed to kick out. We're done. And what is the branch condition? We're branching if it's 0 or positive, which means we weren't supposed to branch when it was 0. We were supposed to kick out. What's the fix? The fix ought to be really obvious right now. And curse this 20-second delay. But I'll give you just a second to kind of get started, then I'll just say what it is. But the bottom line is I need to not loop when it's zero. That's the bottom line. So my BRZP just needs to be BRP. I just need to only branch if it's still positive. When it's zero, I'm kicking out. And I just want to tell you this, just so you don't feel too bad. Well, and again, what you'll notice is we could tell logically we needed to stop. When I run to the next breakpoint, it's not until our R5 gets to be negative, which means we went one too far, right? Right. And again, I apologize for all of that. This is a good one, and I think we can actually stop on this one. But I want to just say this: that the boundary issue, we sometimes, there's a name for it. We refer to it as a one-off problem. Maybe there's other ways that people refer to it, but definitely gets referred to as a one-off. It just means that you're off by one, or sometimes they'll call it an off by one problem. It just means you're off by one. It is so classic. Now here's a related question, and we got just a couple minutes. When I was interviewing people for software test positions, one of my interview questions was, you have a value and some method, some function, some API call, something, and it takes as input, a number, and the valid number has to be a number between like 10 and 50. Fence post problem? Yeah. Right? It's like how many segments are there versus how many fence posts are there, right? There's one more fence post than there are, if I do like this, there we go. I feel like I don't know what I am. University of Texas, #1. I don't know whatever I'm. Anyway, that's probably not a great example, but I've got a span. So I've got 2 spans and 3. This is just, my graphics are horrible. But I've got 3 posts, but 2, spans. And that's the classic. It's a classic. There was actually an old joke. I remember just reading some story when I was like a little kid, and it was about like these 10 dwarves or whatever they were. They were some kind of mythical creature anyway. But they were supposed to count how many people were in the group, and then each one took off, and they went like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and pronounced that they were 9. And then the next guy counts, and there's 9 because everybody misses one. It's like the start and stop. So I'm interviewing you for a software test position. I tell you that the valid inputs into this thing, have to be like between 10 and 50. That's the valid thing, okay? And I say, you have 5 test cases. What are they going to be, right? You got to pick something to pass in. What are you going to give? And usually, and just think about that for a second. And again, if we didn't have the latency, it'd be a little easier to do this. But think about it for just a second. The bad answer is something like, well, I'd go like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or something like that. The problem is that I'm not 10, but I mean, if it's like 20 if it's 10 to 50, yeah, 10, 20, 30, that's the classic, but that's not right. That's not the best way. And what you're trying to do is find a set of test cases that maximizes your chances of actually finding a bug, right? Here's the deal. If you got valid numbers between 10 and 50, if 23 works, 24 is also going to work. And so is 25, so is 26, and so is 30, and so is 40, so is 41. You know what I mean? I mean, once you're rolling, right? Just like this thing here. 10 was fine. 20 was, the first pass was fine. The second pass was fine. Even the third pass was fine. The only problem was we didn't stop. Now the fourth pass was where the problem is. Where did the problem exist? On the boundary. That's where the bug was, on the boundary. So if I had only 5 test cases and I had values 10 to 50, here's how I would use them. I would go 10, 11, 49. Let me start over. My fingers got me confused. I'd go 10, 11, 49, and 50. And then one in the middle. 30, whatever the midpoint is. 32? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? If they were integers. Okay? Because the likelihood is that I'm going to struggle with a test case that's sort of at the start and end point. Okay? Now, depending upon the logic involved, it might be that I can't tell you without sort of understanding how the system's working a little bit, whether your best option would be 9 versus 11. You know? And if I had a little more room to play with, I would go 9, 10, and 11. And, you know, plus or minus 1 on both ends. So I would go 49, 50, 51. So I want to be 1 off in the invalid direction, dead on the boundary, and 1 off in the positive direction. Something in the middle, it's all the same. Once it's running, and it's ka-ching, ka-ching, just stamping them out. It's only difficult when it's starting up and when it's stopping. And if I want to get a little more jiggy, I can go plus or minus 2, and I've pretty much gotten just about everything that I can do, you know, relative to boundary problems. Occasionally you'll see 2 off for some reason, the way the thing is nested or the way, you know, for whatever reason. Anyway, so that's kind of, you know, a little bit of a helpful hint. So, okay, here's the deal. We are now at the stopping time. I hope this is working. Love to have your feedback on it. I know Zach is, one of the Zachs, Zach S, is excited to get us over to Kaltura. I know that. I think we're just going to keep rolling here. I don't know if there's a better way. Ooh, you know what occurred to me? One approach that we could use with Discord is we could actually open a voice channel on Discord, and then just allow any of you to, like, you know, everybody basically stays muted, and then you can sort of like unmute to jump in to offer a verbal comment. It might even save the latency. I think there's going to be less latency. So yeah, just kidding, Zach. Anyway, let's think about that. I don't know if that's going to help us maybe to have a little more interactivity, because with this class in particular, I think it's really valuable to be, you know, as interactive as we can get. And unfortunately, we can't do as much as I'd like in this setting, but we're getting there. Okay, that's it. That is officially the end of chapter 6. There's some other slides there, but I don't want to belabor it. I think this gives you a good example of maybe some debugging tricks. All right, so yeah, Matt, thank you. And let me know, Abby has no mic. Yeah, let me know if Discord as an additional option, you wouldn't have to use it, but as an additional option to feed some voice in, you know, from everybody else, if that's a good play or not, not sure. But I think this is all right. Anyway, I miss you guys already. I seriously, I miss you. Being able to just see everybody in person and, you know, just schmooze during testing lobby and things like that. But anyway, okay. I am going to sign off on this thing. Hopefully hopefully it'll end soon enough. So I had trouble shutting it down on the last class. So hopefully this is going to do the trick. So anyway, take care. Stay safe. Let me know if you've got individual personal, you know, issues, things that are complications, or if you just super discouraged or whatever, and you want to just share that and let me, you know, encourage you a little bit, you know, whatever. So, all right, my friends. Yeah, no, Cairo pointed out we can add a text channel for Discord just like that. Yes, we could do that, where the only disadvantage is, though, I like having the comments built into the YouTube Live. That part's nice. So it becomes part of the record, so people can see what the comments are. See what kind of absurdities you guys throw at me. All right, thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Good luck getting everything pulled together.